Hey guys, I hope all is well. Happy holidays and happy New Year's to everyone. For anyone that watches this video, that watched my other videos, thank you guys so much for the love in the comments. Like, I almost wish I knew you guys in real life because I just feel like love is scarce. But I'm just thankful for just everyone watching my videos and sending love. I really appreciate it. It really, it matters. It makes a difference to me greatly, receiving that type of love energetically for sure. I didn't plan to make this video at all, actually. I was doing something else on YouTube today. This channel, like I've always said, I didn't really anticipate, posting vids like this at all. I wanted to keep it, limited to just the situation with my father, and maybe a few questions. But today I wanted to just briefly talk about the parents, moms, the mothers of these daughters or sons even, that are being abused, because I do want to point out that a lot of men go through the same thing that I've gone through, or any other person that has been sexually abused. Men go through the same thing. It's just unfortunate because a lot of men don't talk about it. If you go on YouTube right now, literally, and do like a search, I don't know. I don't even, I could probably count on one hand how many videos I've seen, but I mean, there's probably more. I can't say I've done like an actual search to really like try to find out the actual number of the videos, but I know they're very slim. However, this video here, I wanted to really talk about the parents, or the mothers rather, of these women or men that have been abused. And oh, Lord knows I could relate to this subject, obviously, because if you guys remember or seen my other video, I stated how my mom was pretty much like oblivious to everything. Like, she wasn't even around, for one. And then on top of that, when I did tell her, like well into my freaking 30s, she didn't even care. She never questioned my dad. She didn't say shit, right? She didn't give a fuck. So I know, like, so many, just in my life alone, my little short years of living, I have met so many women that have gone through the same thing. And then I've met a lot of women that are like way younger than me, right? Like, I have a goddaughter who's like 19, and she went through, man, her situation to me was a little worse, in the sense that she was like younger, and she was like awake, and it was by like her stepdad, right? And the crazy thing about it is that when I met her through one of my kids, and she, I don't know, she just randomly just like opened up and told myself and my daughter. And it was crazy because, I mean, I'm used to hearing these stories. I swear to God, it's like, it just seems like so many of us women, and I'm gonna say women because I come across more women, but y'all know what I mean. But it's like, I've came across like so many women that have been abused. Like, it's just common ground for a lot of us, right? And it's so sad. But anyways, she's telling me like, yeah, her, and I had her permission to talk about it. But again, no, none of you guys really know who I am, so she didn't really care. But yeah, so it's just crazy because her stepdad like raped her, whatever, when she was like 8. And she like told her mom, and that didn't even matter. And then her mom literally stayed with the guy, like, after. And guess what? She's still with him to this day. And again, my goddaughter is 19. So I would say excuse me, I would say like, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but I helped her like try to resolve the issue. Like she was a minor at the time. So I helped her and her grandmother. We kind of like, talked to social, child services and all kinds of stuff to help her be removed. And excuse me, because she has younger siblings. She has a sister that's like 13, and she has like a brother who's like, I think he just barely made like 18. But whatever the case, it's crazy because her mom is literally like, well, let me just say, so I did whatever I could to try to get that out. I spoke to the people. I let them know what she told me, yada, yada. He went to jail. But I don't even think he went to jail for that. Like, I kind of wasn't able to, like, be in the complete loop. And they weren't really telling her much, at least according to her. So long story short, I'm not even going to go into details. It's not my story to really go into details. But he went to jail for, like, less than a year. And he's out. I don't And I don't think it was for that, because I think he had like a gun charge and like some other random charges that I think he went for. I don't know. I don't know how that even happened or worked out to where he didn't get in trouble for that, because we definitely told. Her mom got mad at her. She lost like her kids for a hot sec. They got to go back. Like, so this is right here, the system failing, these kids, but as a whole nother freaking video. But it's like literally like just last week, her sister, because she doesn't live with me, but she comes to visit. She's on her own now, and her sister is back with her mom, and her mom is like a workaholic. Low key, she's kind of like a functioning. I I don't I can't I don't really know for sure which drugs she does, but she does drugs. I know she's like a functioning something, right? And the courts, like this was all like told, right? And so the girl that, my goddaughter, she was living with her grandmother. So that's where she's been. And then she like comes to my house too. So, she's trying to like, she works and stuff. She's trying to like get her own place. She does really good for herself. She's still in school and all that. But it's crazy because the boyfriend of the mom, the guy that did it, he literally just got out of jail like last week. And she's trying to get a place so she can let her sister and try to just like allow her sister to come live with her. The brother had to go because he fought the boyfriend before. So the mom put the brother out. She wouldn't even let her daughter, my goddaughter, come stay with her, months prior to him getting out, because she was like, well, he's going to be home soon and blah, blah, blah. But like, meanwhile, she's like claiming her on taxes and reaping all these benefits for having, these kids, but she doesn't do anything for them. And I mean, at this point, they're not really kids. So, but the point I'm making is that she's still like claiming them on taxes. And while, my goddaughter worked and everything, it's just like a whole bunch of like dirty stuff going on, right? I don't even know how it's all happening, but it's happening. And the thing that's really irritating me is like, I was asking her, I was like, so how is it, like, how is your sister gonna be there? The mom's like, she takes care of everything, like she's real, like workaholic, like she takes care of her business for the most part on surface. So I think that's how she like gets away with like, all the stuff that she's doing. And, and she takes care of the kid, her daughter anyways, the youngest girl, enough to where, no one can say anything, I guess. Lord knows, I don't I don't even know how this shit works, because when I was in there helping my goddaughter out with her situation and putting everything on blast, you would think that things would have just ended up, a lot differently, but I have no idea what happened, right? So I just know that the mom is like saying that it wasn't true and all of that and blah, blah, blah. And so, of course, some people may say, well, maybe he didn't and maybe she lied. I don't know, and I'll be really fair and honest to say that I wasn't there. I'm only going off of what my goddaughter is saying, and I just know that she will not be around the guy at all. She literally went to go get her stuff from the house. just like a couple weeks before he came home, and he's been there probably like a week now. Her little sister's still there, and her mom like tries to have a relationship with her, even though they have like this big ass elephant in the room. And it's like, and she does the same thing, my goddaughter does the same thing that excuse me, I wanted to do, or the same thing I did, and a lot of women and men do. And it may sound stupid, but I totally understand it. She just like wants a mom so bad, right? And her mom is functioning enough to where she still kind of is always gonna have, like, I guess those hopes of, having that and having the love, like, and from her mom. And so she just kind of like ignores everything, right? Like, she doesn't ignore it in the sense that she's not aware enough to try to like get her sister out and, to the best of her ability, but she'll still like entertain her mom's conversations and things like that. And I'm not judging her at all, because I feel like everything comes to a head, at certain points in your life. So that's just something she's gonna have to deal with, I guess on her own, right? So I'm still over here trying to deal with mine. So I definitely can't tell anyone how to handle, their trauma or abuse or whatever. So I don't have anything to say on that. But the problem I have is just the system, for one, but two, the moms. Like, I don't understand how in the fuck these moms are just like so, like, and the kicker is this too. The mom literally is like in her 40s, I think. Or I think she's like in her early 40s or late 30s. Well, her age really doesn't matter. But all I know is that she had her tubes tied, and literally, like, last month she went to go get her tubes untied because she wants to have a baby by this by this person, because they don't have kids together. It was just like he has his own kids that don't live there, and then she has her two that well, three actually. And oh, by the way, my goddaughter has an older sister that was violated by him as well. At least the sister says that. But that sister's like on drugs now. So, people are like, oh, she's lying. It's easier to kind of like say she's lying. But it's so much that I don't know. So I don't really want to dwell on the details and all of that stuff too much. I really just wanted to go off of the fact that the mom is like so just in love with this man. And I've noticed that a lot of women, and I'm not stupid, I know that these women obviously have their own emotional traumas and whatever the hell else they went through, right? So I get it, but I just don't understand it from just I just don't get it from a psychological standpoint. um Being that, when someone's older, I know being older doesn't equate like wise or wisdom, whatever, but it just seems like by now, like, her mom should have like gotten a fucking clue, right? It's like you care more about having a man than being a mom, right? And protecting your children. And I guess that's really my beef, right? So my mom did the same thing. Like, she did that. I didn't have to stay with her, but had I stayed with her, ain't no telling what would have happened, right? Because she was with a guy that was like abusive to her. I have like my own dad. My other siblings have the same dad. And it was crazy because my sister tells me like she was being abused and all kinds of stuff. She even like put my sister out at some point because my sister was like not trying to have it, from her dad. Like, she was getting into arguments with her dad because there was like no sexual abuse going on there, but he was just like violent, and my mom literally like still stood by him. And I try not to have like hard feelings for people and situations, because I try to understand that everybody has their own things, and and some people don't work through them. But it's just so damaging to not try to evolve and work through your trauma and stuff like that. It's just so damaging, and it just causes like the reoccurring occurrence of the same type of trauma, right? um like I know, example, like my mom, I don't know if I said it in another video, but I'll just say it now. But my grandmother was married to not my great grandfather, but my grandfather, who is deceased. My grandmother, oh, that's another story. I don't even know where she is, but so weird. We have the weirdest family, I promise you. But yeah, so I don't know, that just made me emotional. uh, but yeah, so it's crazy because like my grandmother, she, my mom and her sisters, I guess told my grandmother that their dad, their biological father, was touching them, like trying to touch them when he gave them baths and things like that. And my grandmother left him with a quickness. I love my granny for that because I I'm not used to seeing that, women put their foot down, not in my life, right? No woman or man has ever protected me as a child. So when my mom told me that, I was just like so proud to have her as a grandmother because it's like, whoa, she really like did that, right? She left her husband, she divorced him, and I don't even know how long they were married at that point, but they already had like 3 kids. And actually, they had more than that. So I don't know. I'm not even going to go into that because I don't know. But yeah, so my grandmother, stopped it before it could like even get, to, well, according to my mom, because my mom wasn't the oldest. So who knows what happened prior to my mom saying that to my granny. But yeah, so my grandmother put her foot down and that was that, right? So I definitely respect her for that, and she did not play that. But here my mom, she's over here, and as I'm saying it, I'm not even mad at her anymore. And believe me, I was really, really, really mad at her. So I guess there's always going to be a side of me that's always a little disappointed in her, but I'm not mad at her. I love my mom. I just do, and I wasn't. How I don't know. I guess I wasn't able to say that, without questioning if I really meant it until just recently, to be really honest, right? I'm a person that has cut off a lot of people because a lot of people, believe it or not, really like to turn a blind eye to things. And another example is my on my dad's side, I have an uncle who's deceased now, who I could not stand. But anyhow, my dad sent me to go live with him and my aunt and my 2 cousins, who, were, well, the girl cousin, she wasn't my actual blood cousin. I didn't know that at the time. I found out later. I guess that's neither here nor there. But in any case, she was, I think she was like 23 when I went to go move there. And I know I'm jumping around, y'all, so forgive me. Because I was like, wait a minute, wasn't I just talking about the other situation? I don't know how I kind of got over here, but whatever. Hope you guys are following me on this. Y'all know I just blab. So I apologize, but this is kind of like a rant in a way. I don't really know why I posted it, but I just wanted to get this off. But yeah, so my cousin, she was like 23. I think I was like 18 at the time. And I went to go live with my aunt, no, 17. And I went to go live with my aunt and uncle, who I knew them, but I didn't know them like well. They lived like in Northern Cal. And so I lived like in another part of California, Southern Cal. So, and that's California for those I don't know, but yeah. Yeah, so my dad had sent me out there to live with them because he just like, oh my God, that's a whole nother story. But he basically was just tired of me, and he went to go live back with my sister's mom, and she didn't want me living with them because she didn't like me. She didn't like the fact that my dad had me, and I guess he didn't tell her for so long. And then when I just came, I just popped out of nowhere. So she always had like some sort of animosity towards me, I think because of that. And he always made he always made her have abortions. So she probably resented me a little bit, but whatever, that's neither here or there. So yeah, I was staying there, and my cousin, my girl cousin, my boy cousin at the time was like a kid. He was like literally probably like 9 or 10, and that one was my biological cousin, and so my aunt, she was like super, super awesome. She was she had a really good job. Like, she just was always happy. Like, I didn't have like a mom figure, so I really looked up to her, right? And she was just so together, because I came from like, I don't know, it was just me and my dad, and it just sucked. And I didn't have like any positive like women in my life to tell me how to be a woman, or just tell me any woman things. All I was used to was just being around my dad, and he was always mean to me, and and whatever else, all the stuff I told you guys in the previous videos. And he was just I actually hated his guts. Like, I don't even use the word hate. Hate for me is a very serious word, but when I tell you I hated my dad, I hated my dad. And so I I was staying there, and I remember my cousin, she just like, we became really close, right? I looked at her like a big sister, and she confided in me one day, and she told me that my uncle, and this is my dad's brother, he molested her from the age of like 5 up, right? So that little whole dynamic is like super weird and cringy and just very uncomfortable. I don't even know if I want to go into that, but I won't go into too much. But what I will say is this: she told me one day that he had started molesting her from like 5 up, and she told her mom when she was 12. Now, mind you, my Auntie Lane, oops, I almost said her. You know what? Whatever. For anyone that caught that, I'm not even gonna delete it, but for anyone that caught that, it's whatever. If you know, you know. But yeah, so my aunt, she was like so put together, very, very conservative. Just like, not saying like you got to be conservative to be put together, but just the type of woman that she carried herself as. Like, you would have thought that she would have been very, like, she was very serious. She handled her business, and they had like, they were kind of like well off, at least on the outside. They appeared to be like better, better off than me and my dad. So I really liked staying there in the beginning. But yeah, so I'm trying to say though, like, my aunt, she was like the type of woman that most younger women would look up to, right? She had a booming job, right? She was like just on point, right? Her kids were on point. Everything was on point, right? And she just, so when my cousin told me that she told my aunt at 12 years old that my uncle was doing this to her, and my aunt was like in denial and basically like, no, that didn't happen. She threatened to send my cousin to boarding school, like send her off. I swear. And I was like, what? So, and I'm young. I'm just like listening to this, like, wow. And mind you, I hadn't told her about my situation, because my situation, I had kind of like put it so far back that to me, it wasn't even like a reality. It was more like, it kind of felt to me. It was like just weird. I don't know, those that have gone through things, such as what I have, you may be able to understand how someone could do that. But yeah, so for me, I don't even think at that time I even told her. I don't think I told her like way later. But yeah, so she told me that her aunt was like, her mom was like, yeah, I'm gonna send you to boarding school, blah blah blah. So she pretty much left it alone at that. So tell me why, when I was there, he was like such a creep. So he was sleeping with like every woman that, he was like a ladies' man. Like, ugh, it's so gross to talk. He's deceased now. Rest in peace to him. Even though I personally couldn't stand him, and I do struggle with forgiving him, even though he's not here. I know that sounds stupid, but I do. And yeah, but he was just like horrid. Like, he was worse than I'm not even gonna say he was worse than my dad. He was like the same as my dad. Very, very mean. He always called me like, he would try to be funny and call me like names, like, to make me feel like, I don't know. He just liked to tear me down. And I was very, very quiet, growing up, like very, very just introverted, big time, right? Like, I was very, very much raised in the church. Not with my dad at all, but like I had a friend that used to take me to church back home. And then when I was younger, I was in the church and stuff like that when I lived with like my mom. So I was very, very religious at the time. And I remember I used to just have like this little small Bible, the ones that they give you like on the church bus when you go to Sunday school, or the little Sunday school Bibles. I don't know if that's even what it's called, but the little tiny ones, I used to have that. And so I would literally like have headphones on 24/7, play my little CD player, or read my Bible. I don't know why I was just so into like reading the whole Bible. I don't know, but I I used to do that, and I would just be like in my own world unless I was with my cousin. And it was crazy because he had like such power over the whole household. And get this, he wasn't even paying anything. My aunt, she made me and my cousin pay like rent. So at like 18, 19, I was paying like three. And I know people are probably going to say it's not a big deal, but I slept on the floor in the living room, okay? And they had like, it was a very decent place that we lived at. And so she was like, I'm not mad at her because I worked 3 jobs. I literally worked 3 jobs for like ever because I didn't want to stay home. I hated being there because he would like slave us, and then he would just like ridicule me like in any way that he could. I have a round face. Well, especially back then, I had like a rounder baby face, and he would just call me pie face, or he had this name that he would call me like mutton. And so I know I'm kind of rearing off here, but I'm going to bring it home. So he would just like be really ugly to me. And I remember when my cousin told me that her mom said that, and she didn't really care, and she stayed with him. And so yeah, when I was there, he would like go in the room with her, and she would try to leave out. And I remember she used to like try to get like, if I was in the room with her, and he like, because he was a very, very strict dad, quote unquote, right? Especially like with my little cousin, my boy cousin, and then her. He wouldn't even let, like, she was 23 at the time. He wouldn't even let her go out without asking. My cousin was working, going to school. She was like getting very, very good grades. She was in college, and she ended up going to the Air Force, and I was supposed to go with her, but I didn't end up going. And so she has a good life now. But the point I'm making is this: he like controlled her so much. And I remember we'd be in the room talking, whatever, in her room, and he would be like, I gotta talk to you. And he would like find a reason to go in the room and talk to her, and she'd try everything. It's like she was scared of him. And my aunt would be there. Sometimes she would be there, sometimes she wouldn't. But most times when he was being weird like that, my aunt wasn't there. But my cousin told me that he would literally like be in there trying to like, do stuff with her. Now, to this day, I still question that whole little dynamic, because I'm not saying that my cousin was with it, but I do wonder if she just like caved at a certain point and maybe obliged him here and there, or gave, like basically did stuff with him, to like, okay, if I'm being honest, that's the energy that I got then. And looking back, I still just kind of feel that that was the case. But I can tell you, because I was so close to my cousin, that she didn't enjoy it or like it. Now, is it weird as hell? Yes, but who am I to judge? I don't know. Everybody handles their shit differently, so I'm not judging. But I don't understand it for sure, because there's no fucking way I would have been able to do that, right? And I'm not saying she did, but if she was, that's just kind of how it came off sometimes, because she would be like nearly to tears when she came out, and she'd be like ranting to me about it. But she would never talk to her mom about it because her mom was just oblivious. And I worked at like one of my jobs, I worked at the mall, and there was a lady there that was like friends with the family, and he was screwing that lady, screwing every other lady that used to come to the house, our extended family members. He was just like, and I'm talking about like not actual, extended family. He was like doing them, come to find out. I didn't even know this until years later. And so my aunt just was like dealing with it. And it's crazy because I found out later that through like family, whatever, that my aunt, before she had my cousin, the one that's not his, the one that he touched, she he had broke up with her like way back in the 70s, and she was dating like some other guy to get him jealous and got pregnant with my cousin. And so basically she just did that to get him jealous, and it worked, and then they got back together. And so he kind of like raised my cousin as his, for fake, obviously. And so yeah, she did all that to keep him, and she fought for him like throughout the years, like no lie. And I remember like we caught him cheating and we told her. It was just like a whole bunch of drama. But I guess I'm just dumbfounded at the fact that a lot of women are just so desperate to have a man and they are willing to have a man at any cost. And it's just disgusting. It's disgusting. I do not understand it. I understand having low self-esteem because trust me, honey, I struggle with it. I struggle with, feeling valuable. Whenever I do meet good guys, I always feel like, and it's so weird because on surface, I'm like, I know I'm a good woman. I know I'm a good person. I know what I could bring to the table, blah, 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 this. And it's crazy because I still will be like, in the back of my mind, I'm going to say my subconscious, it's in my subconscious. And in my subconscious, I'm just sitting there like, no, you don't deserve that. Like, I feel, and it's, and the crazy thing about it is it's not like you translate it in this way. It's just that your subconscious knows that you feel like 2 cents about yourself, so you will just accept anything, blah blah blah, or turn down this because you don't think that you're good enough for it. Now, I'm not as worse off as I was, a long time ago. I'm actually a whole lot better, but I do still struggle with it, and I do recognize it, and I pay attention to myself. I'm very self-aware. I try to be, but yeah, so it's just disgusting because I'm just disgusted at all of the women, and I could go on and on about all the different stories and situations that I know about where women are, just doing that. And I feel bad sometimes even saying, that because, or thinking that way, because I know that everybody has gone through things and it makes them act and respond in certain ways. But me as a mom, I just don't see how a mom cannot protect her kid. I just don't. I don't see how a mom doesn't want to protect her daughter. And you want to know what's weird is that, back to my uncle real quick, he tried to touch me. And this is my blood uncle, right? And I remember, thank God I was just like older and smarter, and just I was starting to be, I don't know, but I was just evolving. So thank God for that. But I used to have to get dressed up for one of my jobs. Like I would put on like my nylons and whatever else. And I remember I would get dressed in my cousin's room, and their room was like right there. And he would like lay on the end of the bed, and there was a long hall. So he would like lay on the bed, right there by the entrance of the door, and look up the hallway. And I don't know why I'm getting emotional, because nothing really even happened, but I don't know. I guess I don't talk about this. There's nobody to talk about it to. Well, nobody that I want to talk about it to. So I remember one day I was getting ready and to leave to work, and he was laying right there. And I remember he was like, I don't remember. Oh, he said so. He commented on my legs because I'm bow-legged, and he used to like really like bow legs. And I know because he cheated with this lady that I worked with. And she was so fake to my aunt. My aunt had no idea for a while. And we tried to tell her, and she just was like being really stupid, but whatever. So he made a comment about my legs once, and I was just disgusted. And I remember I just kind of like froze and looked at him like, what? And I just kept walking. And I didn't even know. I told my cousin, obviously, because me and her were really close at the time, but I didn't tell my aunt. But I just thought to myself, like, what the what? Like, is he really trying to go there? That's all I kept thinking, like, oh shit, like you need to get out of there. Like I didn't even want to be there anymore anyways. And I was still a virgin, by the way. And I remember he made such a big deal because I ended up losing my virginity at 19, right? Like, to me, that's hella late. And it was like my boyfriend, but he made this big old deal. Like, I'm not even going to go into that story, but because he was weird and a molesty person, I think there was like some sort of connections with maybe him wanting to be weird about that, but that's a whole nother story. So I'm not going to go there. But yeah. And then, so that was one incident. The other incident, I was getting ready to go to work once again, and it was just him and I in the house. I didn't even know. I came out the room and like everybody was gone, and I had on like a thin swishy jacket. It was like a swishy Nike jacket. So I think I worked at like Athlete's Foot or something back then. I used to get all these little brand weight windbreaker jacket, so it was real thin. And I remember I was getting ready to leave out, and he like walked up to me. He's like, oh, and mind you, I hated talking to him. I never talked to him, and I never was in the house with him by myself. So I don't know how that happened. Everybody just happened to be gone in that moment. But I was like right there in the foyer. I don't know how to say it if I said that word right, but right there in the inches of the door. And I remember I was getting ready to leave out, and he stopped me. He asked me something, and he made a comment, and this dude literally like tried to touch my boob through my jacket. And I looked at him and I was like, what are you doing? And I just like, I didn't, I, it's like I froze, but I didn't freeze without action. I'm so proud of myself, even though some people may say that's not a big deal. But for me, it was because I was like used to being like walked over and, just very, I would let anybody just do whatever they wanted to me. Not like physically necessarily, but like say and treat me however, and I just let them. But it was just no way I was gonna have that shit. And he didn't know that I knew about obviously him and my cousin and whatever the fuck they had going on. And I'm not saying that to like demonize her at all. I'm just saying that whole little whatever was just weird. And I don't feel like she enjoyed it, but I just have to say that. It was still weird. But he didn't know I knew about that. So that was that time. And I just hurry up and left. And I just looked at him and I just was like, what are you doing? And then I just like walked off, and he just had like this kind of like, and I know it just pisses me off because he had like thinking about it, but he had like this smile, this real like demonic smile on his face. Like even my response didn't even like bother him at all. And I just left. And I told my cousin, and I remember I was like, I have to leave, because she was like, yeah, like basically she agreed with me, because she was like, and before he really tried something. And I remember third time, this was like the last time he tried anything, and I think I left shortly after. But I was in the shower, and our bathroom had like a window that was like facing like the street. In that bathroom it was. And so I was in the shower, and I always had the window cracked because it used to get really steamy, because it was one of those bathrooms where you're cut off from the mirror. The sink part is like a door, and then it's a tub in the shower. And so I don't know, but anyways, yeah, I was in the shower, and he used to smoke cigarettes, and I will never ever forget. It was like nighttime, and I remember I was in the shower, and he went outside, and I didn't even know this until he got by the window. He actually tried to look in at me in the freaking shower, and that was it for me. I didn't tell nobody back home. I couldn't even tell my dad, because obviously he didn't give a fuck. He's right along with him, right? So I just, and I know people probably thinking, well, why would you want to go home with your dad? I obviously, well, technically at that point I was out on my own anyways, but my dad had orchestrated for me to go there, because I was still technically a child, so I couldn't like go fend for myself. And, you know, I was still, so I lived with like extended family who I loved, and they treated me well for the most part. So that's where I wanted to go. I wanted to go back home. So I ended up going back home. So thank God nothing ever became of that. And he didn't get a chance to violate me truly. But it was damaging. It was mentally damaging just because that is my blood uncle. And obviously, you know, what? That's just weird. And here I was like being violated by my dad. And then now, you know, it's just like there was just no safe place. But I guess whatever. So I don't know. I don't want to drag this video out. I know I've probably been yapping. I don't even know how long this is. But yeah, so I guess I just wanted to say like I'm just saddened by all the women that, you know, feel the need to just stay with a man because they want to have a man. Like they can't be without a man, and they're willing to sacrifice their children for it, you know? And I can't stand the women that, you know, don't fight for their kids. Like my mom didn't fight for me. My aunt didn't fight for my cousin. My goddaughter's mom is damn for sure not fighting for her two daughters. And I asked my goddaughter the other day, I'm like, well, how is your sister going to let me? Is your sister okay? Like, I'm like, dude, you have to hurry up and go get you a place. You know, because I would let her sister come here, but at it's like I definitely don't even have space. But if I had to let her come here, I would totally do it. But that would require me to do so much, and I've already gotten involved so much, and I don't even think it would be a thing. Like they wouldn't even probably give her to me because of the lack of space. You know how like CPS and child services is. They don't even really be doing shit half the time, but sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So I'm not going to go into that. But yeah, so I don't know. It just made me sad hearing that whole little thing with my goddaughter. So it just sparked a whole lot of thoughts of now her daughter is at risk. Just say. I mean, of course, you know, he may not even be on that type of energy right now. Who knows, right? Hopefully he learned his lesson, but it doesn't erase the fact of what happened at all. And he could very well just do that to her sister. And the mom is just like, okay. And then she's even trying to have another baby by this person. Like, what the figgity fuck? Like, I don't get it. I don't get it at all. I can't stand her mom. I can't, not at all. And I don't know. I think I'm going to go ahead and cut this video off. If anybody has questions or you want me to elaborate on something, I feel like I'm blabbing. I have no notes or whatsoever. I'm literally just freestyling this video. So for the sake of me not blabbing on too much longer, I'm just going to go ahead and end it here. But I do appreciate you guys for listening. And once again, yeah, Happy New Year's to you guys. I hope you guys have a great New Year's Eve and New Year's in general. I know I am planning to go out. That's the plan. I usually stay in the house, but I think I'm going to go ahead and go out this time. So, but yeah, that's it. Bye, guys.